Hi everyone, there in America, in the big USA. It's Plastic EP from Australia, Melbourne. And my very special guest today is Mr. Brad Swiger. He's a drummer extraordinaire. He's toured. This man is a collector. This man is a groover. This is the man. Welcome, Brad.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Just call me Plastic, okay, Brad?
All right, Plastic.
Everybody on this show, that's my friend. They call me Plastic. Now, you know why I got the black glasses?
Why is that?
Because, put it this way, you can't see my eyes, which is really convenient at this time of morning. Anyway, let's get back on to business.
All right.
I've noticed behind you, you've got Richard Avedon, those psychedelic posters behind you. They are fantastic. How did you come across those?
A really good friend of mine that I used to play in a Beatle band with here locally has had them since they were new in the 60s. And he was just clearing out some stuff and offered them to me. And, of course, I was glad to take them. And they mean the world to me because he gave them to me. And, of course, what they are. They're very collectible pieces. So, yeah, I was very glad to have them.
You're a very lucky man to have those. Now, I believe you're a friend of a friend that I interviewed last night.
I sure am.
Friend.
Mr. Russ Noel or Noel, another fellow Ringo boy out there. Yeah, we've spent years and years talking to each other on the internet. We've never gotten to meet because we're both drummers, but yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. I like that guy.
Can I ask you, what drum kit do you drum on?
I actually have 3 of the Black Oyster Pearl Ringo kits. And then I also have the natural maple kit like he used on the rooftop. So I just rotate them. Whichever I'm in the mood to play, I grab the one that suits it.
Brad, how do you come across 3 kits that are Black Oyster? How do you come across that?
Very lucky. One of mine is a 65 that's original wrap. The other 2 are re-wraps, of course. And I actually have the original drum kit for the Beatlemania Broadway show that I'm restoring for a friend right now.
That is unbelievable. So someone owns that kit from the Beatlemania show.
Yeah, I tour nationwide with Tony Kishman's show, Live and Let Die, a tribute to the music of Paul McCartney. Tony was one of the 2 original McCartneys in the Broadway production. And when the show closed down, he bought all the equipment. So it's all stored at his place in New York.
And that is the show that kicked off Beatlemania in New York.
Yeah. Tony was in the London production. He was over there for most of that run.
That's fantastic. Now, Brad, I've got to tell you, not many people know this, but because you've brought up drummers. Now, when the Monkees started in 67, I love this photo, right? I'm the one who put the Monkees across it. Now, with Mickey, right, when the show started, automatically myself, I wanted to be a drummer. This is true, right? So I said to my dad, listen, I want to be a drummer. He goes, why do you want to do that? I go, because Mickey Dolenz is one of the best drummers in the world, right? And I want to be a drummer. So we found this guy from Poland, I think it was. No, actually it was Hungarian. This is true. So I'm this little kid, and my dad's driving to me this guy to learn drum lessons. And I did about 10. But every time I went there, he was more interested in asking me if I want to eat goulash at the end of the session than doing the drums. It's true.
Now you're making me hungry.
He'd be teaching me, and I'd be banging away, right? And he'd go, doing goulash all the time. He got to the point, right? Let's dump the drums. It's true.
That's great.
Listen, I want to see the monkey stuff behind you there, the drum head and the
sure.
Changes album. You just turn around and grab them, that'd be great.
All right. This is a bass drum head that I actually had made. It's not original by any means, but I got to meet Mickey backstage at a show in Oklahoma, thanks to another guest of yours, Miss Jody. She's a sweetheart.
Of course.
Let's say hi to her.
Hello, Jody.
Yeah, she fixed it up to where I could get that signed by Mickey, so that's one of my prized possessions. It hangs on the wall. Then right back here, this is a Changes album slick that was never converted to an album. It's just the front slick, And I bought that on eBay of all places. And several years ago, at a world famous club here in Fort Worth, Billy Bob's Texas, world's largest honky tonk, of all places to play, the Monkees were playing. The Monkees were playing there, and a friend of mine that works security backstage took that back for me and got it signed by Mickey and Davey. So that's another one of my prized possessions.
It's amazing who you know. You seem to have all these contacts. Me, I'm always looking for contacts. After the show, I got to start talking to you about some contacts. Now, listen, I know you got some Monkees vinyl. I want to go through your Monkees vinyl. But before we do the Monkees vinyl, show me the shirt. I love your T-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. It's great.
Yeah, this is from the tour a few years ago with Mike, Mickey, and Mickey. What did I just say? Mike, Mickey, and Peter.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, it's one of the few that I'm not too fat to wear now.
Hey, bring in the summer. Okay, let's have a look at your vinyl.
All right. I just grabbed a few here. Few of the many. Here I've got a stereo pressing of Headquarters, but this is one of the unique ones that has the bearded cover on the back. These were the last ones pressed by Cold Gems before they went out of business. There's a lot of misconceptions on that. People think that it was actually the first pressings that had this picture, but it wasn't. It was the last run in '69 before they went out of business. And let's see what else I have here. Of course, everybody loves this one. You can see the reflections in it.
I found that.
And this is not, I didn't grab the right one. The one I wanted to grab was the later pressing that has an RE next to the serial number. Because if you notice, Gary Goffin's name has always been spelt wrong on the back of this album. They did one run where they corrected it, and it's very hard to find. And I actually did find one a few years ago. And let's see. Got the classic first album. Yep. This is the one with the misspelling of Papa Jean's Blues on the front.
Spelled with a J.
Yeah. And I actually have quite a few of these. They're not as hard to find as you would think they are.
I got to say, that's my favorite album. But do you know my favorite song on it? Pull the album out and have a look at the back of the songs, all right? Yeah, no, that's it. Show it, but you read the songs. Have a look. Turn it around to yourself. Wait. I'm going to give you three guesses, which is my favorite song, but I'll give you a clue. It's not one of the big hits, okay?
Okay.
3 guesses only.
How about Tomorrow's Gonna Be Another Day?
You got it right.
Virtual high five.
High five. Hey, listen, that was fantastic because that wasn't rehearsed.
That's one of the ones I like, so that's why I picked it.
Man, I want the groove out of that song. I love that. I just love it.
Great song. Have you ever heard Dwight Yoakam do it?
Yeah, I heard that version.
Oh, he did.
People don't know it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got a lot of photos there. You keep going through the albums.
Sure. You want me to switch to the pictures?
No. You got more albums to show us?
Yeah, I got a couple more here. Of course, this is the big one here. This one is sealed. It's never been opened. And this was actually given to me by a friend. It didn't cost me a dime. So every time I see her, I give her an extra big hug. So
that came out in 1970, wasn't it?
Right, correct. Yeah, it's the final album, original album from the original.
Now, I always say this, and some people, they can take it whichever way they like. But look, here's the Monkees. There's Mickey and Davey left. Mickey says he never left the group. So if it was me, I would have done an album called Monkey, right? Even if I called it Mickey Monkey, it would have been the last, seriously, the last of the catalog. You'd be getting royalties from then till now.
Yeah, he should have kept going.
Yeah, I reckon he should have kept going. He said, I never left the Monkees. Anyway, let's continue.
All right. You want to go into the pictures now?
Yep, please.
All right. Of course, this was the night that the drumhead got signed. Me and Mickey, that was at a casino in Oklahoma. And the funny part about it is I had just met Ringo 2 days before. And so Mickey and I had a great talk about Ringo. and I told Mickey actually what a great influence Mickey was on my drumming as well, and he was a little bit embarrassed by that. And I told him, I said, "Man, don't be embarrassed because as a kid, I wasn't that good of a drummer, so headquarters was just simple enough that I could handle it, I could play with it." And so I credit Mickey as being one of my drumming influences.
I totally agree. I want to talk more about the Ringo that you spoke to me about Ringo. Can you tell me what
Sure.
you discussed about Ringo?
Oh yeah. I told him that I was going to hang this picture on the wall next to my picture with Ringo, and he was like, "Oh, you got a picture with Ringo?" I said, "Yeah, I saw him 2 nights ago in Las Vegas," and we just discussed all the guys he had in the All Star band, and I didn't realize how good of friends Mickey was with a lot of those guys. Steve Lukather from Toto, apparently he and Mickey are really good buddies. And of course Todd Rundgren and all those guys that were traveling with Ringo at that time. And it surprised me how in tune with all of that music that Mickey really was. I mean, I guess we're all music fans, but it's nice to be able to talk shop with one of your heroes, and and not telling him, "Oh, I think the Monkees are great," but just to have a nice conversation about music with him, and to see what a fan he is.
I agree, but I got to say this. You'd be surprised how many big Beatle people I talk to, and they come out of left field and they tell me, I'm a big Monkees fan. And I'm blown away because the Monkees, they don't even understand how big an influence they are. Even now, they're huge. They're going to be in pop culture forever because, as I said before, the Monkees were the first band, even for TV, that had the motion picture industry behind them, plus the recording industry behind them, and they joined forces in 1966. It was the first time that there was a combined effort, a machine behind a pop band, and that's what people don't understand. And they were so powerful in vision, the best songwriters in the world. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'm still a number one Monkees fan, even though I'm here in Australia, and I'm 61 years old. I don't even want to talk about my age. I mean, they're more relevant now than ever.
Oh, of course. And like you said, they had the best songs available to them, the best players. And, I really think that had they have stayed together, and of course, I may be way off base when I say this, but I think if they had stayed together, they would have gone more the direction of the latter period Birds, more of that folky country. Of course, Nesmith's influence had a lot to do with that. But I think the things you were hearing on Pisces Aquarius and like Auntie's Municipal Court on Birds and the Bees and the Monkees, I think that was the direction that I think they probably would have gone a little further towards. And I think they would have been great at it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Anyway, let's have a look at the other photos.
Okay. Well, everybody knows who this guy is right here.
How are you, Nez?
And I've got a really cool story about this picture.
This
was taken down in Austin, Texas, on the Movies of the Mind tour that Michael did, and the drummer on that tour was a guy named Paul Lime, he's a Nashville legend. He's played on everybody's records from Lionel Richie to Kenny Chesney. I mean, you name it, he's done it. If you turn on any radio station right now, you're going to hear him on a song. I think he's the second most recorded drummer next to Hal Blaine. And he is a mutual friend of a friend of mine. And so he called Paul ahead of time and told him I was going to be at the show. And so Paul came and found me in the crowd after the show, got me in to meet Mike. Michael was just gracious. I mean, I'd met Mike one time when I was 14 years old, and I was scared to death and couldn't talk to the man. But so to go in and meet him at age 45 or however old I was at the time was nice. Once again, to have a nice, real conversation with him and not be a fanboy. And the funny part about it was you had like 5 minutes with Michael, and then you had to move on. So Paul grabs me and says, "Hey, do you want to get a picture with the whole band?" And I said, "Sure, that'd be great." So off to the side, I'm taking this picture with Joe Chimay and Paul Lime and the rest of the band. And across the room, Michael looks over puts down his marker and just walks away from the fan he's talking to and comes over and gets in this picture with all of us. And I told him, I said, hey, this is breaking the rules, man. And he said, there are no rules, none that I have to follow anyway. So that's great. I have this picture of me and the whole band also that I love because I'm the only one that got that picture. And I just, just such a gracious man. I can't say enough about him.
That just shows how much he loves the fans. But let me say this. The fact that you're from Texas and you're 30 minutes away, you're in Fort Worth, yeah?
Right.
And Michael was from Dallas, yeah?
Right. Yeah, he was about a half hour from where I live.
That's amazing. Just that story. Was he wrapped that you're from Texas?
Yeah, I told him, and he said he was sorry. I asked him if he missed Texas, and he said, no, not really.
It's amazing. Now, what else can you tell me about yourself and the Monkeys, or even Ringo now? Meeting Ringo. What did he tell you?
Oh, man. Ringo, I'll show the picture real quick. That's me and the man right there. And that was the most exciting 3 minutes of my life. We didn't have much of a conversation, but that was 3 years ago. But I'm going to jump back to 2002. Once again at Billy Bob's Texas, world's largest honky tonk in Fort Worth, Texas. Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band was playing that night. And I was, my band, actually a little local band that I was playing with, got the opportunity to open for them. So we played our little set, and the production manager for the venue came to me and said, hey, you want to make $50? And I said, well, what do I have to do? And he said, put this pass on your shirt and go help them unload Ringo's trucks. I said, sure, I'll do that. You don't even have to pay me for that. But he said, no, I have to. So go do it. I said, all right. So we unloaded the trucks. They assigned me to a gentleman named Jeff Konis, who's been Ringo's drum tech for 30 plus years, and told him, this guy's a drummer. He can help you out. Use him to whatever you need him to do. So we proceeded to set up Ringo's drum kit together. And when he told me to hand him the cymbal case, I put on gloves, of course, and started handing him cymbals. And I came across this 18-inch cymbal that I could tell was pretty old. And I asked him about it. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I believe that one went into service on the Sgt. Pepper album. And I immediately told him to take it out of my hands because I didn't need to be holding it. And the cool part was he told me to flip it over. And when I flipped it over, inside the bell was a handwritten message from Paul. When Ringo had played on the Flaming Pie album, he had shipped his gear over there and left it there for a few weeks because he was coming back to record some more tracks. And while he was gone, Paul wrote a little message to him in the bell of the cymbal, which was, amazing. I kind of like to think that some of the mojo of that cymbal went into my hands, but probably not. But
what was the message, Brad?
It was basically just a thanks for the tracks. I love you kind of thing. I wish, back then I didn't have a cell phone with a camera on it, or I would have taken a picture of it. But and the night just got better from there, because once we finished setting up the drum kit, he let me play it. So I got to actually play Ringo's drum kit. And I had asked him if I could get an autograph. And he said, man, Ringo's really funny about that kind of thing. He said, but if you would like the sticks that he plays with tonight, I can grab them for you. And I said, absolutely. And he said, all right, after the show, come back here and find me. So I ran back there after the show, and I found him behind the building. And I said, hey, Jeff, just want to come back and say thank you. And it was a great evening. He said, oh, here's your sticks. And he handed me the sticks, which they're in a frame on my wall. I should have brought that over here. But Ringo walked out of the back of the building while I was standing there. And he walked by, and Jeff said, hey, Ringo, this is the guy I was telling you about that helped me set up your kit. And Ringo lowered his little sunglasses down at me and said, oh, you're the one that was playing my drums. And he slapped me on the arm and disappeared, and I never saw him again. And I thought, wow, no one will ever believe this story. But then a few years later, I did actually get to meet him and you know, have a real conversation with him for a moment. So
I got to tell you, Brad, that was a fantastic story there. It's one that I'm not going to, those little intricate details, the one about the message on the cymbal, the one about helping set up the drums, I'm just telling you, that's totally fantastic, right?
right,
And to have that memory and what you got is just the greatest. And I want to interview again. I want to interview again, Brad, because what you've told me, these stories, they're just fascinating. Just fascinating stuff.
I would love to do it again. I'm having a ball. This is a lot of fun.
Anyway, from Plastic EP here in Melbourne, Australia, and Mr. Brad Swiger.
Are you working on your Texas accent now?
Can you give me the Texas accent, please?
Plastic EP from Melbourne, Australia.
And do your own exit.
Hey, I want to thank Plastic EP for having me. Look forward to talking to you again. Peace and love, monkeys. Everybody, love one another. Take care of yourselves and be safe.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. Australia loves you. All right. Won't be a moment. We'll talk now. See ya.